Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Hello, bringing you another episode of Black and White Market Minute on Life Planning 101. Matt Irvin, Aaron Kennedy, and Sam Barker with you today. Coming with a little bit of a shorter episode today, trying to play catch up from last week, but these gentlemen had an amazing opportunity to experience a pretty cool event out in Omaha, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Right. So, gentlemen, tell us where you were at on Friday.
Yeah, we went to Omaha, Nebraska to see the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, at the annual shareholder meeting. So that was pretty awesome. Aaron took me along with him, and it was just fantastic.
Yeah, talk about a rock star event. My son has asked me 2 different times what concert we went to, just because I showed him pictures of where we were at. What was there, 40,000 or 60,000 people in this stadium, and hanging on to every word Warren said. It was a really neat experience.
Yeah. If somebody got up to go use the restroom, there was somebody in his seat before whoever it was got back. So it was just plumb packed standing room, and it was for hours. So
Pretty amazing at 93 years old, right? That he can go. What do you say? He spoke like 8 hours.
Yeah. I think he had a lunch break. I think he did 4 hours, and then a follow-up 3 after that at 93, eating peanut brittle and drinking Coke to keep his voice. So.
Yeah, and the overall message has never changed with him. He same thing.
We missed Charlie this year a little bit.
We did miss Charlie, but great message, and it was fun. Knocked that off the bucket list. Got to go hear him speak.
Yeah, and it seemed like a lot of people in the industry went this year because Charlie passed this past year, and we don't know how long Warren's going to be at the helm anymore. So it's kind of one of those things that if we'd been putting off, well, you're running out of opportunities. So we definitely made that trip to make sure that we got it done.
Hopefully we didn't jinx anything.
Yeah.
What an awesome opportunity to go hear from one of the best investors of all times. And then 2, to be able to collaborate with other professionals in the field. And I think you guys had shared a little bit about representative from NVIDIA, right, that was talking about some of the AI stuff coming out. So what did you learn there?
It's going to be a lot more powerful than we think. Just throwing around numbers, he was expecting employment to drop anywhere from 10 to 30%, depending on how fast this can all get implemented. And you start thinking about the repercussions of that. What actually happens if people are losing their jobs because of technology? And this has been happening for decades now, but now we're at the point that it's not going to slow it down. The job loss growth is going to accelerate. And one of the things that we were all talking about was universal basic income. So how do people make a living if they can't get jobs anymore and they can't go out and push a mower or anything like that? So this is getting very, very real. And think about how much this ties into everything else. You know, if the government's paying everybody a job, how do they afford that? What does that do to our taxes? What's the interest rate payment look like? And that's a scary thing right now. I think we keep talking about it, but I think if we continue buying our debt back or reissuing our debt by the end of the year, we should be at $1.6 to $1.8 trillion just in interest rate payments. And now we're going to start funding universal basic income.
It's pretty wild.
It is. And, look back 10 years ago. Jack Ma came out and said, hey, our work week is going to drop down to 3 days a week. And how does the public adjust to that? And do we lower earnings by, 2/5, or do we continue to make the same and just have a shorter work week? So lots of moving parts right now, and all driven by technology, which is extremely exciting. and terrifying all at the same time.
Well, it's a big black box. He was in charge of implementing AI over NVIDIA's operations, and he, who knows if it's true, but it seemed genuine. He reports directly to Jensen, who's the CEO of NVIDIA, on a quarterly basis on it. And he said, I have no idea what I'm doing. It's just such a black box. And he went and spoke with Jensen about it. And Jensen said, yeah, we're not going to know. It's brand new, and it's going to be crazy. And so it's really just a big black box. Going back to kind of the Berkshire meeting a little bit, Warren had just, I think, shaved off 13% of their Apple stock. And, there was a bunch of speculation, and the only thing that he referred to when talking about that, not the only thing, but I think what he spoke the longest about was the current tax rates as opposed to what he anticipates tax rates going to. And so going back to the universal basic income, if we have the lower 10 to 30%, on the lower half, 10 to 30% of people losing their jobs, that's going to be made up somewhere. And I think that the way it historically happens is, the top percentages start paying more in taxes. And one of the things that Warren actually said was, we sent a $5 billion check to the government last year, and if 500, and I don't remember the exact number he said, but it was somewhere around 500 or so other companies did what we did last year, then nobody else would have to pay taxes. And then the crowd just cheered, and it was it was interesting for sure.
Yeah, that was head scratching.
Well, and it's interesting to think that, like, obviously rates are forecasted to go up. We've always talked about that, but it's not only the rates, but it's what they're going to attack, right? We talk about Roth IRAs all the time. Is that something that they're going to try to get their hands on again, even though that's quote unquote tax-free money down the road? So it's kind of interesting to think about all that. But what else did y'all hear there that was just kind of grabbed you and sparked your interest?
Well, we saw Becky Quick. That was pretty cool. She's a host on CNBC on Squawk Box.
She's on Squawk Box in the morning. A little bit shorter than she looks in the chair.
Yeah. And then Aaron had pointed out, and I'm not going to get his name wrong, Gabelli.
Mario Gabelli. Saw him walking through the bottom part of the hotel, so that was pretty neat. Yep. But just, I think the biggest takeaway was how many people were there and how many people traveled from overseas. And lots of Asians were up asking questions and were just hanging on to his every word, talking about quality and buying at the right price, and just his entire message, how that is spread throughout the world, was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, the business owner, not the stock owner. And it's nothing new. He's not coming out with anything new. It's something that we've heard for years and years, and you can read back in his old shareholder letters. But like he said, just hanging on every word that's been repeated for the past 30 years. But it's Warren, and so we're going to sit here and we're going to listen to every syllable. I can't use the restroom because I need to listen.
Isn't that so refreshing, though?
Yes.
Because what we hear on the news is the hype of new normal, it's different, this time's different. But then we go back to see really, truly that fundamental investing doesn't change.
Yeah. And what was cool is what was that? He had a big auditorium with all the companies that he invests in, and they all had exhibits. And just looking at all the industrial stuff, it really cleared the picture of his belief in being able to somewhat predict what earnings, what revenue, be able to get that margin of safety from the types of companies that he's invested in. That was pretty shocking.
Yeah.
Just bread and butter, simple companies. Well, not simple. I don't want to put it that way, but
simple evaluations. Don't overcomplicate things.
Don't overcomplicate things. Make things simple. And don't screw up. Yeah,
and Charlie, actually, in his book, one of his things was a reference, I think it was Albert Einstein, says, make everything as simple as possible, but not so much or not too much.
Yeah, so, not so much.
Yeah, not too simple to be possible. So, and that was one of the big things this year was Charlie, since he passed away this past year. It was a big tribute to Charlie. And so if anybody wants a good book, Poor Charlie's Almanac. I picked one up there. I think Aaron picked one up, and I think I finished it before I got home. So it was pretty fantastic.
Awesome. Well, thanks. That's so amazing, guys, to be able to go through that and bring that back here, because getting in the room with the people trying to do what we're trying to do is a pretty amazing thing. So that's an awesome opportunity to be able to go. Let's transition a little bit to what's been going on in the market. I know there's a lot going on with earnings, but it sounds like we're actually earnings are coming out a little bit better than we thought, perhaps.
Yes, these numbers are a couple of days old, but about 80% of the companies have reported, and 77% have reported better than they were expected to. So that's definitely better than the 10-year average. And revenues are looking strong. So looking at the market from big picture, companies are doing good. They're doing good. That is not one of the risks on the horizon right now, is corporate earnings are going to come down. And from kind of a safety standpoint of what's going on in the economy, that's one of the things that we really look at, because it's all forward looking, and hopefully that continues on. Right. From a pricing standpoint, it's been kind of a rough 30 days or so. Just looking to see what's happened. Utilities and staples have been the stalwarts. Big time positive. Utilities are up about 6.5, and staples are up 3.5, and the rest of the market's negative. So it's 1 month, so who can really tell? And utilities have done really good from an earnings standpoint, but typically when we see this, we're thinking risk off, and people are trying to get to the sidelines, and it kind of makes sense right now, especially after the run that we've had. So
and a lot of the pricing movement has come from people beat on their earnings, but then they may have forecasted a little less, and that seems to be a big driver of that price movement. So people are worried about the future. So it's just kind of interesting to see some of the things that have been not as flashy places to be now, kind of rising a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. Utilities that was a tough place to be last year. Healthcare was a tough place in any of the safe spots.
2 years, really.
Yes.
When you think about it, yeah.
Yes. So them getting a bid right now nothing's wrong with that.
Yep. That's cool.
Nothing's wrong.
All right. Well, gentlemen, what else do we need to cuss and discuss as we wrap up today's episode?
I think we are going to be back on Friday, are we not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Catch up. So.
Kind of back on track, get a little bit more into the quality portfolio, maybe go over another company or so.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
And, overall, let's just keep sticking to the plan for this year. Still think it's going to be a good, decent year, be an election year, and having that extra ammo of lower interest rates in the future. But it is going to be a little bit more volatile, because the unknowns are stacking up. So try not to worry about it too much and just let the market do its thing.
Yep.
Great.
The best thing that Warren had on his side was time, so that's all we need.
Yes.
Well, if he's got time, we surely got some time.
Yeah, 70 years or so, everything will work out fine.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thanks again, gentlemen, for sharing that experience with us today. I know our listeners will be so excited to hear more about it as we get to visit, and then to continue to dive into the portfolio. Thanks for the diligence on the earnings season, and we'll be back soon with another episode of Black and White Market Chatter on Life Planning 101.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.